So Basa, what's your why?
My why is actually a constant inner motivation. Since I was a kid, I faced a lot of challenges in terms of whether it's injury, whether there were doubts about my game, about my success and achievements. But I think that every time I faced that kind of a challenge, I was quiet and motivated even more to prove everything, first of all, to myself, because that's, I think, the hardest challenge to do over and over again.
Has your why changed from your first basketball steps in Kopaonik to now in Istanbul?
No, I think this is something that stays with me forever, and I hope I'm gonna keep that child energy while I was even skier and now basketball player for entire my career. Because if you have that happiness about every day going on the court, staying in the gym, working additionally, it's something that you can always count on. And I definitely feel the same excitement and same enthusiasm about it.
What has the game of basketball given you?
The game of basketball gave me a lot of things. Like most of the professional basketball players, we try to enjoy every moment while we are playing, because our career doesn't last forever. We have a certain time to be on the court and to achieve our goals. But for me, most important is the relationship with other teammates, to create that fair play between two opponents. I don't see any opponent as my enemy. I see that our opponents are something that you can try to get over with your talent, with your character. So I really believe the professional athletes are something unique in this world, because we are a rare part of life that better will always win. So if you can be better, you have the rights to believe that you can win. So these kind of things are something more important than general things that basketball brings to every player, like it is enjoyment on the court, enjoyment having the friends and all things together.
What's the hardest thing that you had to give up in order to make it to be an elite professional player?
The hardest thing is to pass the ball. But I mean, for me to give up on my ego is the hardest thing. I mean, like every player, we all have some inner fights with ourselves that you have to put on the side, your ego, in terms of team success. And if you can do that, like I really believe me as a person and all my teammates that we have in Efes, we did that correctively in last years. And now we have a new challenges with our newcomers that again put me in position that another time I have to face with that. And I'm very happy that I'm surrounded with great teammates and great players. So ego is something that over and over you have to beat inside of you to be able to succeed.
You are giving obviously everything for the game. What's the toughest part about it?
The toughest part is the general comments about your performance, I guess. We face every season hundreds of games. In Europe, you have each game almost like it's your last game. The competitiveness between teams, especially after winning the title, you're gonna face every opponent like it's their last game. So if you can be fine with your daily performances and your daily efforts that you are trying to give every game, and not checking your statistic or your individual, let's say, details about the points, whether it's assist or rebounds, then that can really help you to maintain on that level of professional success. Because most of the players are willing to have the best statistic for themselves, but it's really impossible to be always on that level and to be able to succeed, to win championships. So for me, this is something that each player should work on if you want to win.
When people think what you've given to the game, what they should think about?
I can't describe perfectly that. I think I'm someone who try to always pay attention on one thing, it's consistency. Maybe I'm not the fanciest guy on the court, maybe I don't have the best moves on the court, but I think overall when you check my game and last years, I think I have that consistency that it's really hard to make in this high level of basketball, because there are many talented players that can shine for 1 month, 2 months, but to be able to do their work the best for the team and still stay recognizable for individually, it's something that I can bring, I think, in last years always on the table. And also I try to make everyone happy with my type of game, that I have also ability to score and assist, something that I try to do over and over again.
Now for some personalized questions. You said once that your story is a nice example of how a lot of things in life can happen, good and bad. Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, since I was a kid, I've been always a kind of good talent in basketball world, and then all the momentums that I believed that it was like moment that I will shine, suddenly things has changed, but this situation never put me back. They always pushed me up and made me stronger. And these breaking points of my career, which was 17 years old injury, was very important for me to get matured and dedicate correctly my time to basketball, which means I didn't have to wait, I don't know, 25th year or I don't know, 26 to understand how important it is to dedicate your time to real things, which is things off the court, the way you approach the games, the way you approach practices. And nothing accidentally happened in my life, to be honest. I mean, with some sort of talent that I obviously have, there was a lot of work that nobody followed or nobody saw, but I knew how much I did it. And that's why I think each player who arrived to this level has that opportunity to believe in these things.
Some people say that you took not very logical ways sometimes, like you went to Tofaş when you had all the offers, you went to Efes when you could go anywhere, you stayed in Efes instead of going to the NBA. How correct or incorrect are these people when they say that, well, you're taking this unusual path to succeed?
Well, I mean, everybody has rights to say whatever they have and they want. And since the moment I decided to go to Tofaş, I think I was 22 years old. That was maybe key for my career, to stop listening people. I cannot say that I don't respect people's opinion. I just stopped listening to them because none of them can be aware of how difficult things I'm facing throughout my career, and how difficult it is to maintain and fight through the every game to be able to reach your level or your dreams. And since that moment of Tofaş, I started to believe more and more in my decisions, and I'm very glad that I didn't miss yet with my decisions in terms of staying or leaving. But as I said, every day is a good opportunity for me to prove to myself that every decision I make, it was correct.
You know, you said that you've been a great talent since a young age. Was there ever a doubt that you would achieve what everything told you that you were going to achieve?
I cannot say there was doubts, but there was moments that I was wondering why this is happening to me, because I thought that life is always fair, but actually it's not, which is fine, because I always thought that if I do something, equally has to happen on the other side of life as well. But it's not. I mean, that experience that when I was young showed me that life is so unpredictable, and you have to go day by day. I mean, you cannot have plans, you cannot have long-term expectations. You have to try to stay really humble and at the moment, because that's how you can be always focused on your current goals. And that's how I always believe that if I can maintain with that approach and that mentality, I can always have confidence. I don't know how far I didn't know how far I could reach with my success and achievements, but I never felt that I have no exits. I felt always that there will be a chance for me, there will be a moment that I can catch and make it.
So you could have gone to any team after you left Žalgiris. You could have gone to any team that was European champions. You decided to go to a team that had no EuroLeague titles like Efes, and you won not only once but twice. How satisfying is that?
It's definitely the best satisfaction so far in my career, just because also that decision was kind of unlogical for most of the people who follow the basketball, and I can understand that. But at that moment, I felt that my experience with Žalgiris and Coach Šaras was more than enough. That I felt that I want to prove that somewhere. I want to show that knowledge on the court, not just by talking about basketball. And I felt the opportunity in Efes was in the right time. And even though everybody were kind of shocked, I felt that this was good, because I wanted to create something from the bottom, from the zero. And I don't think that Efes has no history, but really at that moment they really struggled and they changed completely team. And I was one of the role players who's supposed to do their job. But since I realized that with Coach Ataman I can have that opportunity to play the way I want, to evolve my game the way I want, I think I realized that after that first season, it's time to stay there and prove it one more time, and then without knowing that we will win the championships, but having that improvement on my skin and great experience, it's great. I mean, another boost for my upcoming challenges.
Last summer, most people thought or expected you to go to the NBA, but you decided again to follow your own path and stay in Efes. How come?
All these moments are, trust me, equally the same like for other people. Like I always follow some kind of instinct inside of me that tells me what to do. I mean, there are obvious things and there are things that are really happening. And last 3 years that people kind of expected me to leave, I stayed. It wasn't because I don't want to go to NBA. Definitely I want to go there and I want to try myself there, but somehow these things didn't work well because of the many reasons. But I don't see my staying in Efes as a bad thing. I see this as a very, very good thing, because I really enjoy my time off and on the court. And but having that small dream in my head about the NBA really pushed me to work every day the same I used to work, and be patient about that. And I hope it can happen. We will see.
Well, when it comes to you, media, fans, there's a lot of praises and not much criticism. Do you think this is for your playing style, or the way you're humble and approach the game, or your behavior?
Everything together, I guess. I'm not so interested for media, I guess, because there are not much opportunities for people to catch me or to follow my life, because I really respect privacy from each person as well as mine. So that's one of the reasons why I try to be the guy as an example, not as the talker or the one who just talk. I just try to be more of an example than the one who will be famous off the court. So all my acts on the court are kind of representing the way I live also. I mean, I don't fake myself on the court. I try to be always a good teammate and a good opponent, first of all. Second of all, I try to spend my time with the family. That as a professional athletes, we really have a lack of time with them. And then every off time, I try to keep the privacy as much as I can, just because it's unique. You know, like we are all already so much on the TV. We are already so much everywhere that people can see us. But the rest of the time, I try to enjoy for myself.
One thing that's guaranteed already is that your name is written in the history of the EuroLeague forever. 2-time Final Four MVP, 2-time champion. Do you ever have time to look back and well, see your journey and what you did until now?
I think this is one of bad parts of my character, even though I can't change. So far I couldn't change. I just move on. I mean, that's the way I live. I never look back. I never look so much in the future, because I think there is no time to look back. Maybe after I finish career, I will check a little bit, but now I feel like everything is happening so fast and everything is so dynamic that there is no time I mean, I enjoy 1-2 days, but I mean, already today I have a game against one of the best opponents, so I have no time to check anything. So that's something that pushed me towards the direction of constant desire to improve myself. And as long as I'm able to do that the way I like, I'll do that. But to be aware of my achievements, I don't think I'm aware of it, honestly.
The third and final block of questions is about sacrifices. And the first one is about, well, how much of a mental shock was it to have this knee injury that you had at age 18?
It was really difficult. In one hand, in the other hand, very useful lesson for my life, because when you are young, somehow you don't even know what does it mean injury. I mean, now everybody talk about injuries, so at that moment, I had no idea that injury was so hard. I felt big pain. I knew that recovery was hard, but throughout the recovery, I always felt that it's something that will pass. So that mentality helped me a lot to recover faster than maybe people expected. And also I changed the approach. I mean, as I said, when you take care about your body, you try to limit it all the possibilities to get another injury or to fall down once again in your career, because you do everything what is in your hands, like working extra on your body, on recoveries, basic things, but very important if you do it correctly and consistently. So that experience helped me a lot in terms of my post-injury career.
In which way has it helped you later in your career? Because you had, for instance, ankle injuries that you came back earlier than expected. I remember in the last couple of years. Yeah,
I mean, it helps you because you understand, first of all, that injury is part of this profession, and nobody wants to get hurt. That's a fact. And since you see the amount of games that we play, and since you see one of the main reasons that I really believe that people are not aware of why the teams are winning, it's also health status of the team. So if you can take care of your body, and if you can learn from injuries, that additional small, let's say, kind of boring workouts for your body that will help you to prepare your body, whether it's diet, whether it's as I said, some small exercises that can really affect your game in positive way. This is something that you have to learn from these moments, because otherwise feeling after injury is always bad. But if you can somehow learn out of it, like after loss, it can be good lesson.
Another different type of sacrifice is playing away from home, from your family since the age of 20. You've been, working around Europe, away from your family. How does a young person endure all of it to keep going and keep playing?
I think this is also similar to what I said. Like I had no time to think about it so far. They just put me in the fire when I was 20. I signed with Bayern Munich as one of the best organizations in EuroLeague. I was even lucky that at that time I was really surrounded with good people that helped me to adjust on the living abroad. But it's not easy for young people to find their inner peace and to find their balance when they are so young, because you definitely miss your family. You think you are enough mature at that age, but I don't think we are mature at the age of 20. So I always suggest young players to always bring some of parents with them wherever they go, because we have a lot of doubts when you are young. We have a lot of expectations that if you don't make them, true, then you start to feel sad, you start to feel weak sometimes. But if you have your family next to you, it really helps you to stay stable. So for me, it was just an experience that showed me earlier than maybe my friends at that age how life works.
Three more questions. The first, it's well known that you stayed with the Serbian national team to play a key game to go to the World Championships when your mother Vasilije passed away. Is there a larger sacrifice than that?
Yeah, I mean, now it's been 3 years since she passed away, and it's getting just harder and harder, but it's a life. I mean, that decision was my decision, like all the others. So, together with her, of course, I think it was our common decision. But yeah, sacrifice is part of this profession.
How does one, learn to deal with all the obstacles? Do you go one at a time? Like when you have an obstacle, you deal with it and then you don't worry about what happened before?
Yeah, I always think like that. I think that, first of all, with the intents of our games and in terms of the life we have in our basketball world, with every second day game, you have no time to analyze even the games. It's very hard to find time to check your game. But at the same time, if you are aware of your game style, if you're aware of your mistakes, it's already time during it happening that you will learn from it. So I just try to move on and get ready for the next move.
And finally, of course, your career had good times. Let's go back to, for instance, the game-winning shot in Belgrade in the semifinal against Olympiacos. That's when all makes sense, right? All the obstacles, all the sacrifices make sense in a moment like that, right?
Yeah, it really helps players to keep working, but it's tricky also, because if you wait for that moment and it never happened, then maybe you start to doubt about your works. But for me, I never work for something. I always work. So when the things happen, I'm aware of them, why they happen, but if they're not happening, I'm still working. So this is the way I try to reach my goals. You know, if you chase something, and it's not easy to achieve anything in life, not only these kind of shots or any title, then it can be very hard if you don't catch it. But in my case, that shot was just a little improvement for all the additional works that I stay after practice. How many times I took this shot, I don't even know. But it was good. I mean, historical shot for me, I think. I'm Vasilije Micic, 2 times EuroLeague Final Four MVP, and this is my why.